Labor has officially launched its election campaign in Brisbane. During his keynote speech, Bill Shorten promised tax cuts for small businesses, a living wage for workers and action on climate change. Political editor Andrew Probyn is in Brisbane. And Andrew, Federal Labor has finished their campaign launch there. We now have 13 days to go before people take to the polls. Andrew, just take us through what happened there today in Brisbane.
Well, these sorts of events have developed a formula over the years. They culminate in a speech from the leader. But before we did hear from Bill Shorten, we heard from Penny Wong defining what was wrong with the coalition and the government as Labor saw it. Then we heard from Tanya Plibersek, who was defining Labor in more flattering terms. And then, interestingly, we heard from Chloe Shorten, who gave her personal take on Bill Shorten. This is obviously a very stage-managed approach to developing a warmer attitude, intended at least for voters, both towards the party, the Labor Party, and also Bill Shorten personally. When Bill Shorten spoke, he spoke at length for a considerable amount of time, not only outlining the troubles he saw with the coalition's agenda, or lack of agenda, as he put it, but then making his outlining why Labor's plan for change is something that the voters should accept. He outlined a few new policies, a new $2 billion pledge to extract more money from multinationals. But in the end, he said that this was a matter of choice. Let's hear from him now on the matter of choice.
The choice for you, the choice for our country is clear. It can be more of the same or a change for the better. Division and drift or unity and purpose. More cuts to health and education or better schools and hospitals. Rising cost of living and stagnant wages, or a better deal for working families. The choice is clear. You can have cowardice and chaos on climate change, or courage and action. This is the choice for every citizen of our great nation. 3 more years of smug, smirking, unfair complacency under the Conservatives, or a bolder, better and more equal future for Australia under a new Labor government.
Opposition leader Bill Shorten there. Andrew, we heard him there obviously making the issue around choice. How did Bill Shorten, though, make the case for defining his priorities today?
Well, as we've heard in recent months, the Labor Party and Bill Shorten personally has made much about wages. Stagnant wage growth has been an issue for this government, as it has for a lot of Western governments in the world. There seems to be something broken where you've got economies can grow, but we're seeing more sizable corporate profits and more jobs, but not necessarily wage growth. Labor has got a very interventionist approach when it comes to increasing wages. On one hand, it's going to be simply subsidising some workers, like childcare sector workers, even those who work in the private sector. And he's also going to pitch for some changes when it comes to the Fair Work Commission's resolving of the minimum wage. He did talk about a particular timeline, and perhaps we should hear from him now.
Now, if we win this election, our priority is not making the very rich even richer. It's getting wages moving again for working people, starting with laws to restore Sunday penalty rates in our first 100 days, a new push for equal pay for women, a better deal for casuals, cracking down on the abuse of 457 visas, cleaning up labour hire, and for the lowest paid Australians, converting the minimum wage into a living wage, because no Australian adult No Australian adult who works full-time should be trapped in poverty. Labor rejects an American-style wages system where working people have to rely on tips just to make ends meet. Now, of course, we will consult. We'll work with the independent umpire. We will respect the capacity of business and the economy to pay. But I know I can deliver a better deal for working people through negotiation and cooperation. I know because I've been doing it for 30 years.
So there you have it, Bill Shorten speaking there in the Brisbane Convention Centre at the ALP launch. The election is 13 days away. There was another interesting aspect to this launch today, Miriam. It's the fact that Labor managed to navigate the difficult relationship between Kevin Rudd and Julia Gillard. They have had a bitter rivalry over the years, but they sat together in an exercise and a projection of unity. There was also Paul Keating there today, and we had a wonderful interview with Paul Keating after Bill Shorten spoke. And in fact, I think that ABC 24 is going to show that interview in the hours ahead. It really is something to watch. He criticises the coal industry, says that that's an industry that's going to die eventually. He also says that work has to be done with China's relationship with Australia, and that would be one of the tasks for an incoming Labor government. But one to watch a bit later, Miriam.
Our political editor, Andrew Probyn, reporting there from Brisbane.